All right. Hello, hello. So I wanted to just do a quick tech check. Um, am using a different microphone and system. So interested to hear what you guys think, how it sounds, how it looks. I'm traveling at the moment, so I'm back in the original studio and making sure everything is set up properly. That looks like. I'm also streaming through YouTube this time. So, all right, well, it looks like we've got a couple of people in here. So it appears the link is active. I'm just gonna get my screens all set up here. Yeah, still need to find the best way to get through this. I see different options now, actually. Anyways, everybody, how are you all doing? And good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it might be, wherever you're at. Just gonna collect all my questions here. And then all right, cool. Well, hey guys, I think that just about does it. Wanted to be able to uh, hop on this call and give a chance to answer questions. Looks like recently a lot of questions have been about Pichu and our upcoming launch on Kusama. So today I'm going to go through a couple of the questions, comments, concerns, and make sure to provide better clarity around what's happening, what we're anticipating going into the parachain auctions, as well as what to expect next as we're getting more and more things built out. Oh, so great. Yeah, the picture quality is something that I'm not sure the best way to get it up with the current tech. Though, good news, we do have everything to upgrade to like an actual camera instead of a webcam. So once I get back to the office in a couple of weeks, I'll be able to get that set up. For right now, though, we're going to be on the travel setup. So then, without any further ado, I'm going to dive right in. So, yeah, it's something where this last transition of the week so far has been almost entirely getting prepared for the Kusama parachain launch, which is coming up as we're seeing it, potentially the very end of December, though we're still saying Q1 to be safe because it's something where while we did talk with the parity team today, they also brought up an idea for some additional audits and benchmarking. So right now we're working with our developers to put together the final benchmarking components so that way we can launch. And what we're looking at is likely going to be the end of December as of now, or potentially beginning of January. Whichever that date seems to fall properly is going to be where we go. Now, one of the questions that comes up pretty often, and I'm not knocking these out in any particular order, just going to go down the list. So it's not in like an order of importance or a sequence or anything. Starting out, though, it's something where what is the connection between Pichu and Kylan? It seems like there's even some idea that Pichu is somehow different or a different direction than what Kylan is. And it's important to understand that the same way that Kusama and Polkadot, they're essentially the same chain. They're very, very similar in the way that they're structured and set up as a collective security relay chain. Kylan and Pichu, they're also the same. Pichu is the Kylan network built on Kusama, and Kylan is the network built on Polkadot. The two of them are made to be able to interoperate, just like Polkadot and Kusama. And what it sets up and what this allows for is the ability to run more rapid tests on the Kusama network, while on the Polkadot network, that's where it's going to be a bit longer term decisions. It will take longer for certain movements and updates, as well as made for that really institutional grade security, while Kusama is more optimized for speed. I say this because it's something where Pichu and Kylin, they're not separate in the fact that the technology is different. It's the same technology, same palettes that are called, same underlying process. Where the difference comes in is, especially as of right now, in the very, very early stages of Polkadot's launch, it's something where Kusama Network is meant to be able to validate and to test out a blockchain technology in the wild using real money and on real live applications. So the very first step to being able to launch on Polkadot is to be able to validate the marketplace, the data economy that we've been discussing, and be able to showcase exactly how the process works when people upload data and are able to then provide that information for applications and receive a query fee on the back end for providing the data. So what we'll be doing is we'll launch on Pichu first, get everything validated, get all the systems deployed. What we'll need to be doing is building a system that allows us to have a nicer user interface that lets people easily upload their data, organize it however they might need, so that way it can be more easily distributed across applications. As of right now, we're not even at that step. We need to focus first on launching Kusama or launching on Kusama using our native token Pichu. So that way, from there, we're going to be able to validate the system, find out whatever kind of quirks we need to work out in order to get it to where it's meeting the institutional grade quality of Polkadot. And from there, we'll be able to transition from the Kusama parachain launch with a native token Pichu onto the Kylan launch, the mainnet launch on Polkadot. We anticipate the timeline for this would likely be sometime in Q1. It's tough to say because it'll really depend upon how everything goes with Pichu whenever we turn that network on and release it to the wild. At the same time, it's something where we anticipate that it would likely be as short as a couple weeks, as long as 2 months or so. And this is really just from watching other parachain projects and seeing what challenges did they face and about how long did it take for them to fix up whatever updates they might need to provide. Now, with that out of the way, it leads me a bit into when it comes down to how we are going to make this transition. In order to be able to launch on Kusama, we must first win a parachain auction. This is essentially like a crowd loan where people can stake their Kusama on the Kusama relay chain. And as opposed to receiving Kusama tokens as the rewards, they're able to be rewarded directly in Pichu tokens. Now, the exact algorithm for the way we're structuring these rewards will be released closer to launch. This way, we're able to make it so that it's a bit more transparent and we have less probability of people gaming the system. What we can say is that as of right now, it's going to be a proportion of the amount of Kusama placed based on how much a person puts in and how much total we collect as a community will adjust how much is actually being received. Now, that's going to be for the rewards for the parachain auction on Kusama. That's just one way to access the Pichu token. Because, of course, we understand from a regulatory standpoint, not everybody is able to participate in the crowd loan. Now, when it comes down to additional ways to earn Pichu tokens or to be able to accumulate and acquire Pichu, the very initial stages is going to actually be an airdrop released to all Kylan holders. Now, the only requirements to be able to be accepted for this airdrop is that the KYL tokens must be held in a non-custodial wallet. What this essentially means is not on an exchange. Now, I understand there's a lot of questions about will XYZ wallet fit? And this is one of those things where we can't list out every single wallet and if it's going to work, but there's a couple of clues that can tell you if it should. If you control your private keys, if you have all the information behind being able to back up your wallet, so it's something like a MetaMask or a Trust wallet, Math wallet, I mean, any wallet that you're in complete control of, then that would likely qualify. Specifically, it must be an ERC20 wallet, as Kylin KYL token is ERC20 as of now. Now, what's going to happen is that whenever the KYL tokens are in a non-custodial wallet, we'll be taking a snapshot shortly after the parachain auction is completed for Pichu. Once this is completed, it lets us know exactly how much KYL a person has, and then we can release the appropriate amount of Pichu tokens. Now, the initial airdrop is going to be just the first step. That is a 1% distribution, a 1 million Pichu tokens released proportionally across everybody. Any Kylan holder who carries their Kylan inside of a non-custodial ERC20 wallet. Now, for the next stages, there's going to be an additional aggregate 10%. It gets a bit specific on how it breaks down. I'll drop a link to the article that breaks down all the information. Long story short, over the course of about 10 months, we'll be releasing a remaining 10% of the Pichu tokens. Comes out to be a total of 10 million tokens proportionally spread out to people. Now, exactly how we send that out, we're still working out the best solution. We've got it narrowed down between two options as of now. And that's going to be on one side to do a intermittent monthly snapshot and then token release. Though, quite frankly, we're looking for a more creative solution as we want to be able to mitigate the risk of people dumping on the market simultaneously. So instead, what we're leaning towards is doing a token release where it's actually ongoing. So that way, with every single block that's produced, a proportionate amount of Pichu is available to a person inside of their Polkadot wallet. So what would be cool about this is it would make it to where then, at any point in the month, a person would be able to access the Pichu tokens that they've earned however long they've been carrying their Kylan. On top of that, it makes it to where it creates a bit of an incentive where a person's going to want to hodl their Kylan in a place that it can be snapshotted, so that way they can continue earning Pichu. Kylan gets dumped, no more Pichu is generated. This way we can create that connection and that bridge between the two to ensure that the long-term holders are able to receive the benefits of their tokens. Now, there are details we need to work out with this. We want to make sure that people who are staking Kylan, because of course, as we move forward this, we're going to have various additional options available. We want to ensure that a person is able to still receive their Kylan rewards on top of the Pichu rewards that are coming in. So I share this with everybody to let everyone know where we're coming from, what we're seeing. And as of right now, we're leaning towards how to be able to pull off the ongoing reward system. So that way a person can receive the rewards at any time. Now, finally, when it comes to the way that the tokens from Pichu are received in the first place, there is a distinct difference between the current Kylan token and Pichu. Namely, that Kylan is currently located or set up as an ERC20 token. This is on the Ethereum network. This is set up because it was where we were a year ago. Polkadot was not even close to being launched yet, and we wanted to be able to have a token release so that way we could begin building the project and be where we are now, ready for launch. So because it's on Ethereum, we need to be able to somehow connect the Ethereum wallet that people have their Kylan in to a Polkadot wallet where we can send the Pichu tokens, which are going to be set up on the Kusama chain. I know it sounds a little bit confusing, difference between Polkadot and Kusama. As I see it, from all intents and purposes, Kusama, Polkadot, basically same, different network. Now, there is something that when it comes down to how this is being connected, we'll be setting up a DApp, something that allows a person to connect their ERC20 wallet to a Polkadot wallet. So that way we can do snapshots from the Ethereum-based ERC20 wallet, determine how many Kylan are being held, and distribute the appropriate amount of Pichu into the Polkadot.js wallet. So I'm going to take a look at some questions here, see if I had wrapped up most of this. Let's see, what wallets are acceptable versus unacceptable. Took care of that. When will the launch happen? Yep, went into there. How much Pichu will you get? Dependent on how much Kylan you hold. And that's about it. So I'm going to go and dive into the chat here, see what we've got, and if there's any questions I can answer. And please, if you guys have anything on the tips of your tongue, questions, not just about Pichu, but about Kylan in general, or whatever else might be on your mind, this is a chance for us to be able to connect. So great to see so many familiar faces. Yeah, we definitely are aware of the need for a centralized exchange listing. It's something where what we're looking for is having all focus on launching the network on mainnet. This makes it to where we're able to have much easier access to multiple exchange listings at a more appropriate price. At the moment, with all of our focus of resourcing on a successful parachain launch, we understand that listing on an exchange is not going to provide additional fundamental value for the project. What will provide fundamental value for the project is having query fees and applications integrated and being able to build solutions for our partners. So the sequence of events as we see them is to be able to first launch the network. So that way we have a working product out live and in the wild. From there, to begin to consider the options available on the table and choose the exchange listing that makes the most sense. And then to be able to scale out through additional use case and partner solutions across the 50 plus partners that we have already officially announced. Let's see. There's no product yet. Does it make sense? Yeah. So Pichu is going to airdrop to Kylan holders free money. Yeah, this is a utility token. So it's something where the function of both Kylan and Pichu tokens will be to facilitate transactions of data being uploaded into the data warehouse, as well as the query fees are being rewarded in this utility token. And yep, it's an airdrop and a lock drop. Johnny, fashionably late. Does PokerBridge do this bridging function? So PokerBridge does offer a series of benefits. We haven't explored the exact solutions we'll build with them, though it is something where they're able to connect us to different networks. What we're going to be exploring first is getting the data warehouse function live on Kusama. That's through our native token Pichu. And then from there, we're going to be collaborating with various different partners, starting off with the partners that are already located on Kusama, and then expanding outwards as we continue to build new solutions. Hey there, Dylan. Good to see you. Yeah, some misinformation out there is KYL long-term utility in view of Pichu. Yeah, so he gives a great point here where it's considering the difference that the Moonbeam Foundation has between Moonriver and Glimmer. It's all still Moonbeam. It's all still meant to be a Ethereum virtual machine compatible blockchain network built on Substrate. The difference is that they have a different token. One token for Polkadot, one token for Kusama. This makes it so it's easier for people to facilitate transactions on exchanges, as well as makes it to where it's more simple to separate the use case functions. Though from a technological standpoint, they're both connected through a bridge between Kusama and Polkadot. Black Sun, yes, Trust Wallet is acceptable. All right, now I'm going to go take a look at my Telegram and see what other questions we might have available to answer. Yes, I know I said 10% for the lock drop and airdrop. What that actually comes from is adding up the two together, lock drop plus airdrop. So it's going to be 5% available for each, and I rounded it together to make it a bit more simple to describe. All right, that's about it. Well, I guess before I wrap this up, I'm going to give a quick update. Looks like we've got a good number of people here. 27. Wow, fantastic. It's cool to see the either the late night crew in Europe or the afternoon evening people here in the States. So it's something where what I can see would be useful is to give a quick catch up as well on where we're at from a technological standpoint in getting ready for the parachain auctions, what we're looking at from the marketing standpoint, and how that helps to position us for not just the Kusama auctions, which is more or less going to likely be a pretty smooth process, really to prepare us for the Polkadot auctions coming up in a couple of months. We're going to be ramping up our operations to prepare to bring in more developers and to better support our community to be able to start generating query fees by uploading their own data solutions. And then finally, I'll go through some of these last questions. So actually, I'm going to go through some questions now and then go back around. So are we still on track for KSM Parachain in Q4 2021? So it's something where we'd very much like to be able to launch here in Q4. At the same time, for the sake of conservatism, we're going to keep on saying Q1 as an expectation, simply because we want to make sure that everything is solid before we launch. As of right now, it appears that we'll actually be fine for the end of December, but things can happen. So we'll make sure that people have plenty of update to know exactly which auction slots are we going for, so that way people have a chance to unstake their KSM and be ready for the auctions. Do we have to stake Kylan, or are they okay with sitting in the wallet? Yeah, so for the airdrop, you'll only have to have it sitting in the wallet, and that will be sufficient. You'll just need to make sure to associate your ERC20 wallet to your Polkadot wallet, so that way we know where to drop the Pichu tokens. Yeah, so Nolan is it's something where when to actually acquire the Kylan, really up to yourself. It's something that the main thing you want to make sure of is that you have your Kylan in a non-custodial account ready for the Pichu drop. And when you decide to accumulate, that will be entirely on your decisions. So yeah, as a quick update on the technical side of things, we've got it to where from our latest meeting with Parity, we were able to walk through everything that we worked on, discuss the implementation process for launching on Kusama, as well as go into more detail about our next steps in development, namely putting together the UI for the marketplace. Now, while we did get the green light and the thumbs up to proceed on the auctions for Kusama, we still have quite a bit of work to do on the technical side to really make this a scalable product. So as of right now, we do have it to where somebody can upload their data from an external API built in any language. It can be Python, Java, Node, whatever a developer is comfortable with, and then connect that API endpoint to Kylan using a palette that the team put together. Now, while this functionality is already working correctly and is able to send out query fees, what we want to be able to work on next is to make it to where a person can more easily interact with this without just using code or anything, making it to where there's an actual user interface that I'm likely to be as simple as something like a Dropbox or maybe even a Google Drive, something where it's a more visual experience to allow people to not just more easily upload or connect their API endpoints, but ideally to be able to set something of a profile of what kind of data is this, what can it be used for, so that way as we begin to release various bounties of data solutions available for our partners, people can collaborate on the best ways to make these things happen. Now, the first target of what we'll be going for with Kusama is likely going to be price feeding oracles. There is a lot of demand. I mean, out of the 52 partners we've announced, it's probably 45 of them that are looking for price feeding information. So for any developers who are out there who are looking forward to being able to receive query fees indefinitely on an API endpoint that they connect, stay tuned because we'll be sharing more information about how you can participate in helping to build this decentralized data economy on Polkadot. Now, that's on the tech side of things. Where we're at right now is just finally is setting up the benchmarking and a couple of DevOps procedures to be able to more easily manage the parachain once it's released. Now, in terms of marketing, that's going to be something where it was as of right around the end of the week that we were able to come to consensus on what the long-term marketing strategy will be. And what we're putting together is a 90-day scale-up, which will begin right around the beginning of December, going all the way through the end of February. And the intention behind this is to make sure that we not only have enough of a buzz to be able to comfortably support the Polkadot parachain auctions, but on top of that, there's a lot of market for customers and projects and partners that are looking for data solutions, not just through Polkadot, but on blockchain in general. So it's something where part of the major benefit of deploying an Oracle or deploying a data solution on Polkadot is that the fees are exponentially less. I mean, we're talking about several orders of magnitude less than on Ethereum. And on top of that, it's extraordinarily fast. So it's something where what we're going to be wanting to do is create the easiest processes possible to help educate people, not just about how to be able to set up an Oracle on Pichu and then eventually on Kylan, but also on what type of data oracles are people looking for? What kind of solutions do we see maybe generating the most query fees? And where is the best applications that we're seeing has the most demand? So we say this because the very first steps we'll be looking at are Kusama partner projects. And as of now, that's mostly going to be price feeding, though we are absolutely looking at a couple other solutions. There's a metaverse play I'd be more excited to talk about as we continue to work out the details. I say this because while price feeding is the start and the lowest hanging fruit in terms of what people are asking for amongst our partners, it's something that it can be any type of data. So one of the other conversations I've been hearing is supply chain management and wanting to be able to validate the process of a supply chain on chain in a way that can be confirmed by anybody else. So it's another interesting use case that I've heard throughout our community that people are looking for. But anything amongst this type and many more items, we'll be sharing what these developer use cases could be, as well as what types of creative opportunities might be possible to help encourage innovation amongst our community. Now, this marketing push will include a couple of different pieces. Number one, namely, is going to be the website. Now, this website is set up to where I would expect, likely by the end of this week, it is a holiday week here in the States, so that can cause a day or two of a wiggle room, though I would anticipate by the end of this month for sure for the updated website. Once that's released, we're going to make changes to it live. So that way we can create each page individually while getting live feedback directly from the community. And we're looking forward to hearing what you guys would like to see on this site, as well as what would be useful to help make an easier education process. Then it's also going to be a cross-channel marketing push. So namely, we're looking at Twitter, Telegram, and YouTube at first. And the idea there is to make it so that this massive amount of information that we have around what are the opportunities within decentralized data solutions, and especially what's happening with our dozens and dozens of partners, and what's happening with our community, which is growing by 300 to 500 people a day as of now. So it's something where we want to really double down on the community interaction, make it to where we have lives going more times each week, to get it to where we have partner videos, dedicated videos, sending out ideally several a week because we have a lot to go through, as well as greater interactions with our partners. So that way we can share more information about the cool technological opportunities available within blockchain. So I think that's just about does it for the marketing update from a high level. We'll be expecting to put together a marketing roadmap as we get closer to the beginning of December, because that's about going to be the starting point, as well as will be around the same time, I would imagine. We should have already had consensus on exactly when we'll be going for the Kusama auction. Benchmarking will have into a closer ideal point. I would say that this is a timeline that we'd have much more specifics. Now, I think that just about does it for the updates I have. So I'm going to dive into the chat, see what's going on. And yeah, please let me know if there's anything else on your mind I can bring up before we bring this live to a close. Yes, I greatly appreciate you, Crypto Lady. Please hit like and subscribe if you guys enjoy what you see. And if you don't enjoy what you see, then leave a comment and let us know how we can improve. So Black Sun, we will have a separate video helping show people how to be able to connect their wallets with Polkadot. That is going to be outside of the scope of this video, though we'll make sure to break it down step by step, as well as include a Medium article. Let's see. Yeah. If you had to simply differentiate Kylin from the other similar cross-platform project, what makes Kylin special? Oh, my friend, there's a lot of ways I could go into that. The most terse response would be that we are natively built directly onto the Polkadot and Kusama relay chain, natively built out of the same language, substrate Rust, that Polkadot is built on top of. What this allows us to do is to not only set up a palette, which allows us to interact. A palette is kind of like a template of code that is set up to do things in the way that we want it to do. In this case, to allow people to upload data and receive fees from other people querying that data. Now, the benefit by using a data oracle, or even what we're calling Gen 2 oracles, which instead of moving data to point A to point B, is actually tracking the entire supply chain or the entire decision-making pipeline, is right now it can be a bit tedious to get this done, especially on Ethereum. Whenever you're paying for processing power and gas fees individually, well, if you've done a transaction on Ethereum, you'll know this can range anywhere from $30 to a couple $100 pretty easily. On top of that, from a speed standpoint, you're going to be competing with everybody else on the Ethereum network. Now, if we talk about a different network, let's just say something like Solana or Cardano, well, sure, these might be faster networks. Yet now the challenge is it's going to be stuck inside of that network. Anything off outside of that chain would be considered off chain. The benefit of being built directly into Polkadot is designed to be this central ring that can hold together all different blockchains. So whether it's Ethereum or Solana or Avalanche or Elrond or whoever it is that decides to make a bridge connecting Polkadot to the various blockchains, it allows for us to be able to navigate and to interact with that data across every single chain. So it makes it to where we have a mix between a rapid speed as a result of the Polkadot infrastructure and architecture. We're looking at more affordable prices because it's not based upon the processing power of an individual transaction. We can actually optimize the entire network, the entire sovereign blockchain network that is Kylin, to be able to process data as quickly and securely as possible while also keeping prices down. And then on top of that, the main benefit that I see is access to all data across all chains natively. Now, that's, I guess, the long answer. I just realized the short answer would also be the way that data interacts with our chain. Anybody who has an API endpoint on their application or their software is able to connect with us. So if I compare that to some other projects, they have to either have a software or a system built natively on their application using their programming language, which can be a barrier to entry. And maybe somebody is a Java developer that has some super cool data that they'd like to monetize. They're probably not going to be excited to have to learn Solidity just to begin to interact with smart contracts. So anyways, that was a not so short answer as to how it differentiates us. Hope that's helpful though. Hello from Belgium. Nice to meet you. Rust. Yeah, Rust is a really fun language. It's super fast. Do you think Chainlink can eventually be a threat? Not at all. Absolutely not. It's something where I think Chainlink is really our best friend. I mean, to be able to pave the way and help people see the value of oracles. The fact is, if we were talking about price feeding oracles and data warehousing and indexing data and all this other nerdy stuff, it would probably be pretty tough to evaluate. Yet I very much love what Chainlink is doing because they've shown that not only is it practical for a project to scale to damn near 1,000 partners within less than 3-4 years, but that it's also extraordinarily profitable by showcasing a live comparable of what these types of data services could look like from a valuation standpoint. Now, Chainlink has also set up the infrastructure to help us understand, of course, built inside of the more legacy environment of Ethereum, but to see what works well and what challenges could be potentially overcame. So as we see it, it's something where Chainlink is not a competitor to us. We work in different parts of the ecosystem and provide different pieces of value. As of right now, we're not the best solution for Ethereum-based projects because until Kusama and Polkadot become a bit more expanded as a community, as of right now, for the projects such as Moonriver, they're still building. They're still putting things together. In our case here, what we see is that Chainlink was the first step, similar to what Bitcoin was to blockchain. And then what we're doing is setting up the next generation of data solutions. So what I see is that we would actually likely collaborate with Chainlink because the majority of projects that we're working with are probably utilizing Chainlink price feeding smart contracts using their decentralized Oracle network. So by being able to have multiple decentralized Oracle networks, it provides overall better security for applications across the entire blockchain space, while also making it to where we're able to more easily focus on our bread and butter, which is really the data warehousing component or the next generation of how to be able to bring out the fullest potential of data on blockchain. From Black Sun, do you guys have a ratio of Pichu to Kylan distribution? We've got some numbers kind of in mind. I believe that they're floating around. The challenge is there's not a specific ratio as of now. It'll depend upon how many people join the auction and then what numbers we set when it finally comes out. Our intention is to release the specific rewards very close to the end, not the end, but very close to the actual auction time period. just taking notes from other Polkadot projects, it seems like that's going to be the best route. On top of that, we want to make sure that nobody tries to game the system and does anything strange. In this case here, it's something where the details we'll need to figure out with certainty is what is the max supply cap going to be. So if the average Kusama auction, let's say it's winning at 20,000 Kusama, it wouldn't make sense to have a 200,000 auction cap. It's probably not going to make any sense. That resourcing could be used better. Alternatively, if we see that it's very, very high, then we'll adjust it accordingly. So if we need to use a lot more Kusama, then that means the rewards are likely going to be lower. On the other hand, if we don't have to use as much, we can be a lot more generous with the rewards. What we do know is we've got the tokenomics set up to where we can be extraordinarily generous, and that's our intention. It's also why the Pichu tokens can only be generated either through the crowd loan rewards, through holding KKYL, or through participating directly with the network. Great question, my friend. How will Kylan prevent Oracle feed manipulation? Yeah, so John, there's a couple of mechanisms that we'll be building out to be able to set this up. The most traditional route, which is, I would say, extraordinarily elegant and is the backbone of most of the blockchain industry now, is using what are essentially webs of oracles or decentralized oracle networks. So let's say that the data point that a person was looking for is some kind of a price feeding stream. Maybe they want to know the price of Polkadot versus Ethereum. Well, there's a bunch of data sources we can be pulling that information from. And ideally, we would have it to where multiple oracles, typically a couple dozen will do it, will each pull the price and share what they think that the number actually is. And the algorithm will then put all that information together and deliver it so that way it has the highest probability of accuracy as possible. Now, as we develop the network, we'll actually be working and collaborating with our community technical ambassadors and everybody in the community who's working with the network to find what are the best solutions that we see. As of right now, what we're considering is two different options, and none of these are set in stone. These are things for us to be able to call them additional features for us to add as we expand. One of which is potentially a burn mechanism, something where data providers can actually challenge each other and provide an opportunity to showcase proof that this is the real information. There's a couple of challenges with that still, a couple of technological hurdles we need to overcome. Though what we're leaning towards, namely, is to have a rating system. So not so dissimilar than what someone might see on Amazon or I guess even Netflix. You're able to see what people are scoring different movies and TV shows. So in this case here, it'd be a rating system and a feedback system based upon the data feeds themselves. So if there's a data provider that maybe they're not, maybe they don't have much of a track record yet, having less feedback would mean that perhaps it's a little bit more of a risk, which would require the person to drop the pricing for their data. Alternatively, it also allows us a chance to have some kind of like a verified badge, almost like the blue check mark on Twitter, except the data validation equivalent of that. So what this would allow us to do is audit that the code that is pulling data from a source has not been tampered with and is actively working as expected. We can hash the systems that we see so that way if there's ever a change, well then that little blue check mark that they might have can fade away if we notice something sketchy or something changes. So yeah, quite a bit of it is still in process as of right now. It is something that it's going to be mostly community driven. I mean, finding out what solutions do people see. As of right now, we see a huge need for being able to not just gather data, but to actually use data, to be able to find out not only what's happening within the various networks, but how can investors make better decisions? How can people inside of games have better insights on what's happening? And then when it comes down to DeFi applications, how are they able to make sure that whatever processes they need are as secure as possible? So those are the main kind of challenges that we work on solving now. Let's see. Oh, that's very cool. I didn't realize that Terra Luna and Cosmos are also on Rust. Yeah, Rust has definitely taken over the game, especially for blockchain. It's a fantastic language. Yeah, Sam is absolutely amazing. He is just, quite frankly, I wouldn't be here, and I think many folks here in the company may not necessarily have been here if it wasn't for initial foundation that he had laid for us. And it really set an example of what's possible in this community, that anybody within the community who sees an opportunity to make things better, they're able to join us and to be a part of this awesome movement we're putting together. See, what will happen in the future? Kylan and Pichu already deployed on Polkadot and Kusama, but we need to update it to make it better. Can it be done? Absolutely. So, Long Fam, whenever we launch on first Kusama with Pichu and then Polkadot with our native token Kylan, that's just the beginning of the journey. Because once we launch, it's going to be a matter of not only getting the marketplace user interface up, basically a pretty website that will allow people to easily interact, update their data, utilize other people's data, stuff like that. But it's also going to make it to where we can start to put together new data solutions and different types of systems where, based upon what partners are asking for, or even I've had people requesting various different off-chain and small business solutions using blockchain to be able to validate their data in a verifiable way. So it's something where, as people begin discovering new use cases of the Kylan network, we're going to want to be able to continue to add better and better functionality. And this will also begin to expand as we take on more partners. So at the current moment, out of the 50 partners we have, most of them are on Ethereum. So we've collected the needs from them, and we have them in queue for whenever we're able to start to build. We'll start off with Kusama, and then once we begin getting closer to Kylan launch on Polkadot, we'll then pivot to be doing more Polkadot-based build-outs. I personally believe that as we get this set up, we'll be able to have some type of a stable bridge built inside of Kylan that lets us interact with more Ethereum projects along the way. But it's something where we have no idea what types of both opportunities and challenges will be faced when it comes to building new data solutions. So I say all of that because while we've got about 50 partners now, something like Chainlink has more than 900. So we know there's quite a bit of room for growth and quite a wide variation of features that we can offer. Yeah, so I see a question here. How long do we have to move Kylan off the exchange? So this is purely for if you're wanting to be eligible for the Pichu drops. And that's going to be as long as you want to be eligible for them, your Kylan will need to be in a non-custodial wallet. And then we'll have it set up to where the rewards will be based upon how long those are being held. If we see that the wallet has Kylan, we'll be paying out the proportionate Pichu. Can anyone become a data provider if they create an API, or how can you onboard them? Yeah, so we have it set up to where this is meant to be a fully decentralized network, meaning that anybody with an API endpoint should be able to upload into the data warehouse, at which point then any other application would be able to build on top of that. Yeah, they've got a great ecosystem. All right, everybody. Well, this has been a fantastic call. I'm going to give a couple of minutes for any last questions out of here while I check the Telegram chats. And yeah, thank you guys for being so awesome. I love seeing so many familiar faces as well as new faces. I guess I can give you guys a quick update on what we're seeing next is will be with the holiday season, it's probably not going to be as active these next couple of days. Starting tomorrow, actually, is when our holidays start here in the States. And into probably early next week, that's when we're going to be seeing a lot more of the social media work ready for deploy, as well as I'm very confident we'll have consensus on the exact auction slot we'll be going for. I'd say with 90% probability, we'll find out. And then from there, we're looking at an exciting December to find out how can we not only have ourselves fully prepared for this 90-day scale up where we're looking to be able to expand our team. We're hiring 2 to 3 substrate developers. We're also looking to build more of a substrate community. So Sam has actually put together a substrate builders group on Telegram. I believe when I looked at it a week ago, we had about 50. Last I saw, we have almost 100 members in there. And this is for both experienced developers as well as blockchain enthusiasts. If you've ever had an interest in learning Substrate Rust or being able to interact with more of the technical side of Polkadot and Substrate, and especially within Kylan, definitely drop a question into our official chat asking for details, and I'm sure somebody will send the Telegram link over. I share that because it's one of our biggest initiatives is to not only attract more people, people like Sam and Stuve and so many folks that have stepped up from the community. Much of us brought in by Bull Sander and his friendly, kind, compassionate nature and being able to interact with us. But to be able to then have an environment where we can work together to learn and practice and build cool things with Substrate. So we want to create this environment, something that is, of course, we'd like to shamelessly have as many people there with Kylan as possible, but it's really meant to be something to support the Substrate and Polkadot ecosystem as a whole. And the last bit for it is that, over this next 90 days is to be able to build a larger community of junior Substrate developers who are training, hire 2 to 3 more developers internally to start and to continue expanding outwards, and then to scale up our marketing. Some good news that I know people have been concerned on is like my video quality right now. It's not so awesome. Not exactly a potato, but not so great. Fortunately, we will be upgrading the studio to where we'll have better audio, better video, and then from there we'll also be launching Kylan clips pretty soon, which will be taking these lives as well as other short videos and breaking them up into probably as low as 1 minute, maximum 3 to 5 minutes, to answer specific questions. So that way we can have something of an archive available to help people do their own research and really dive into the deep end of not just what's happening with Kylan and Pichu, but what's possible with blockchain and decentralized data. Well, with that, I see just a couple questions left, and then we'll wrap this up. Yeah, Rexella, I see your question. I'm not sure what TWT is. Thank you so much, Rock Poles. Yeah, you guys. It's always clear whenever I'm traveling because I'm not able to get a normal edge up. Well, Rexella, I don't see a response in here. Oh, I see. Trust Wallet TWT. Yeah, so it's something where we'll be having the application set up to make an even process across the board. So while yes, Trust Wallet has a compatibility with Polkadot, not everyone else's wallet will necessarily have that. And we want to make sure that the system is consistent across the board. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. And I'm looking forward to next time that we chat. For everybody out there who's celebrating for the holidays, please be safe and be careful. Until next time, y'all. Bye for now.